Nocturne. Developed by Terminal Reality and released in 1999, Nocturne is a horror-themed action game that follows the exploits of a secret government supernatural extermination service known as
Spookhouse.
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 Spookhouse. According to the official lore, Spookhouse was formed by President Taft after an incident where a ghost blew past him and slapped his ass. The player controls the Stranger, a fine, upstanding role model and well-developed character.
Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting this prick.
Everyone has to say the password, stranger. Even you.
By this point, I could have killed you and flipped the switch to open the door myself.
When Terminal Reality was brainstorming for a main character, someone brought in some sketches from their high school notebooks of their self-insert OC with the words "cool guy" written on it. The rest is history, dear viewer. He is a very dark and mysterious man with unknown origins who was always seen wearing his trademark hat, goggles, and constantly flowing trench coat. Despite being a normal human, Stranger is the bestest monster killer in all of Spooky Home.
Spookhouse.
His skills with weapons are unmatched. He is motivated by his hatred for monsters.
I hate monsters.
His only weakness is his hatred for monsters, because his open hostility towards his co-workers makes everyone uncomfortable.
I wouldn't call her a monster. She's only half vampire.
Half is too much.
At the start of most chapters, you can walk around Spookhouse and gather exposition from the cast of colorful, memorable characters like that guy, this guy, boxer guy, demon guy.
Stranger, let us spar. I don't think you'd like the outcome.
Cool general guy with a hook and an eye patch, and scientist lady. Scientist lady usually has weapons and supplies you can miss out on if you don't talk to her. She's also the protagonist of Blair Witch Volume 1, the only other game in the Spookhouse saga. That's pretty neat. She also has an alternate model that was left in the game files by someone at Terminal Reality who was very horny at their computer. That's pretty neat. It's pretty obvious that Terminal Reality was planning to do more with these characters. Boxer Guy, for example, shows up here in the live-action intro, but he doesn't actually contribute anything to this game. We never even get to see him punch vampires to death, which is something only mentioned in the instruction manual. Chapter 1 takes place in 1927 with a stranger sent on a mission to recover a MacGuffin from a vampire's castle in Germany with the help of... I didn't notice while I was playing because of how dark this game is, but in editing I can clearly see that whoever worked on their textures was very horny at their computer. I'm pretty sure YouTube could have me arrested for showing those. Gamers, don't be horny at your computer. One of my oldest siblings died that way. I miss that bastard.
Watch out.
Okay, so Edward Comby the stranger needs to go to the castle in Germany, get the thing with the help of the half-vampire.
Vampire.
Okay, I'm sorry, vampire.
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 Vampire, okay. But before we can reach the castle, we'll need to clear this town of monsters. And let me just say, for a game with fixed camera angles and tank controls, the gunplay is actually decent. Using the mouse, you have complete control of where Stranger is aiming, and he'll automatically snap to any target in the general direction you have him pointing. When using the dual handguns, Stranger can target 2 monsters at once. Capcom's Resident Evil Code Veronica, released later in the year 2000, and used a suspiciously similar mechanic when wielding the dual Lugers and Calico M100 pistols. And while it's possible that Capcom decided to take a few notes, I'm not gonna say that Resident Evil ripped off Nocturne. Besides, everyone knows that holding a gun in each hand wouldn't be invented until 2004's Halo 2. No one in human history ever thought to try it before. And really, the concept of guns in general didn't exist until 1999's Savage Future, a game which is real. I am not crazy. Oh no. I forgot to get my prescription refilled at the store. I'm sorry, gamers. Let's get this back on track. I think the point I was trying to make here was that the Calico M100 is pretty neat. The gun was heavily featured as a prop in the 1987 Mel Brooks film Spaceballs, where the already unusually shaped firearm was outfitted with several plastic modifications to further sell the idea of it being a high-tech energy weapon. Starring Bill Pullman and John Candy's ass, Spaceballs was an ironic parody of 1977's Star Wars, directed by George Lucas, a film which did not feature the Calico M100. While I am by no means a firearms expert, the Calico M100 is probably my favorite gun. The name makes me think of cats! And by extension, that delicious Toxoplasma gondii. Oh man. I love cats.
Tell us what you know about Count Voiku and Castle Gestadt.
I know nothing.
Stranger, you cannot interrogate these people like criminals. I swear, you have the social skills of Attila the Hun.
I wouldn't put it that way. Attila the Hun fucked.
Welcome, strangers. I am the mayor's daughter. You should return now the way you came. Please leave.
Alright, now that we've cleared out the town, we can get through to the forest, which, despite being an early Chapter 1, is one of the more difficult parts of the game. This is a reoccurring theme in Nocturne, as every chapter after the first one dials the number of monsters you fight at once back and gives you way too many healing items. I can only theorize that Chapter 1 may have been designed before they finalized the main character and, well, the thrill of making it out of a dangerous situation against overwhelming odds by the skin of your teeth, that doesn't exactly jive with the fact that the stranger is supposed to be an unstoppable badass who wouldn't break a sweat or even kill as he teleports behind some cosmic horrors and cuts him in half with his katana. That's a Japanese sword, by the way. Now, what makes this particular forest section difficult are the constant surprise werewolf gangbangs. Wow, I wrote that. Why are there so many werewolves protecting a vampire's castle? Well, you see, there's a reason for that. They aren't. Mr. Well-Written Big Badass over here actually killed most of the werewolves in Germany by himself. And now the survivors are out for blood.
I thought you killed all the werewolves in Germany.
The castle itself, it has some nice action, few puzzles. Oh, and precision platforming in a game with tank controls and fixed camera angles is always a godsend. I just can't get enough of it. Stranger brutally murders the ancient vampire lord all by himself and finds a survivor, who reveals that the town you saved earlier isn't real, just in time for the character you met in that town to immediately show up.
Perhaps I can explain.
Stranger, put your guns away.
You'd be wise to do as your friend says.
I have no friends.
It is then revealed that this funny little man is the real vampire lord, and thanks you for clearing his castle of insurgents, and lets you leave.
What about the stone?
Alright, the thing the entire chapter revolves around getting.
The stone stays, stranger. We leave. Now.
So our mission is a failure.
Yeah, this entire adventure was pretty pointless. Chapter 2 starts with a stranger on a train with that guy, on their way to take care of a town with a bit of a zombie infestation, probably standard daily stuff or spook house.
I will avenge your death, Highland.
Oh no, he was my favorite! Alright, so now we're fighting werewolves on a train. Werewolves on a train? Holy shit! You're jumping from car to car fighting werewolves. The very concept here is massaging the pleasure center of my brain. This is fantastic. It's not very hard. Your bullets stun lock them, and you only fight about 2 of them at a time, which happens to be the same number of guns Stranger is holding. But still, this entire level put a big dumb grin on my face. The train conveniently derails in the town Stranger was sent to investigate, but the man he was supposed to meet up with died. But that's okay, this is a common occurrence.
What happened? You died. Again. I used your powder to summon Baron Samedi. He revived you. Pray you never owe me a favor.
You're an honest-to-God hero, you know that?
Yes.
Hey, you kids like escort missions. See, you had the amazing werewolf train level, now you have to slog through this.
I can use the shotgun. You take it. I've still got a pistol.
Oh, I take that back, this is amazing now. This is peak video games.
Hey, Sonny, slow down. Hey, Sonny, slow down. Do you even care if we make it to the church alive?
Marginally.
Damn.
Alright, so the source of the zombies is in the mines. This level is just garbage, forgettable garbage, I hate it. Okay. After the mines, you have the standard ancient temple with precision platforming, a whole friggin' lot of it. Like, too much. Oh, and there's also this Elder God cutie floating up right there. Oh, he's just hanging out, he's so sweet. Oh. You mess around with some stuff and this guy comes down to yell at you for touching his junk, but then the Elder God kills him, because the Elder God likes the stranger now. I don't know why. Maybe the Elder God's intrigued by his hats? But before the Elder God can start making some moves on the stranger, Baron Samedi returns and starts doing some wizard shit because things are getting a little bit too weird.
Stranger.
And then you're kicked back to the main menu because that was the end of the chapter. I should probably mention that the ending to every chapter feels rather abrupt. You're just unceremoniously kicked back to the main menu without any sort of epilogue. Chapter 3 is kind of lame. Al Capone has a factory in Chicago that he uses to resurrect his mobsters when they die. I guess he's also preemptively killing them all and resurrecting them because every single goon you face in this chapter has a skin condition. You run through the streets of Chicago killing goons armed with strangely ineffective Tommy guns. Stranger doesn't even seem to care when he gets shot. There are stockpiles of health kits you don't need around every corner because difficulties ceased to be a thing after chapter 1. The process of resurrecting the goons made them super flammable and unstable just like the kind you meet on the internet. This is, of course, just a juvenile plot excuse to give the player a flamethrower to play around with. Fire's eye pretty cool though. I like fire a lot. Stranger likes fire too. If he gets lit up, he lets himself burn to death. Wow, that's hardcore. Stop, drop, and roll is for disgusting nerds. So Stranger flips the switch, it causes a whole bunch of stock explosions to just seemingly come out of nowhere, and then he makes his escape to this door, and you're just kicked back to the main menu. It's pretty great. The fourth and final chapter sees the Stranger assist a former spook house agent with a minor spooks and goblins infestation in his garden. But before you leave, everyone tells you how much of a bad boy the client was while he worked for Spook House.
Killian's hatred was almost evil. I think he was already insane by the time I met him.
He left Spook House in a huff after they hired Demon Guy, the same Demon Guy who apparently went missing before the start of this chapter.
Welcome to my home. I'm glad I can still rely upon my old friends at Spook House.
You do some standard pest control and do some puzzles that make use of the cutting-edge dynamic shadows. But then there's a twist. And the man you were told was bad betrays you and locks you in his Resident Evil death trap mansion that he set up to torment Spook House agents, believing that they all consort with beasts.
I hope my traps are to your liking, monster lover.
Monster lover?
I'm not crazy. I'm not the one who fucks monsters.
The mansion itself, it has some okay puzzles, and some not okay puzzles where the only solution without external guidance is to brute force them with quick saves. Which of these tiles is safe to walk on? There's nothing in the previous rooms and this is the only way forward. Just keep blowing yourself up and making saves when you don't die. Which one of these switches doesn't instantly kill me? Well, there's only one way to find out. Oh yeah, don't go through that door, that's a death trap. Until you reach a certain point in progression where it just inexplicably isn't.
Thank God. Help me. That madman has held me captive here for weeks.
I don't have time for your distractions, succubus.
There he is, my favorite character, Demon Guy, the best boy. He's red, and he,
Accept my help. Not as a personal favor, but as an obligation to Spook House.
Oh, Stranger tsundere for monsters. Oh, wait a minute. That was a character arc, wasn't it? He's a real boy now.
I'm proud of you, stranger.
Make no mistake, Colonel. I freed Moloch solely for my benefit.
Yeah, sure thing, Stranger. Alright, so Stranger lets Red Boy brutally murder the bad boy?
Stranger, wait! Come back! Aren't you going to help me?
I don't have time for your distractions, succubus.
And there's actually an outro this time. Probably to be expected, this is the end of the game after all. Oh wait, no. Where once there was 4 chapters, there are now 5. Stranger shows up at Spook House like usual, only instead of threatening the door lady with murder, someone else killed her. Reduced her to a red goo on the floor and some body parts. Damn, what could have done this? Oh no! All of my favorite characters have been reduced to giblets!
No signs of life. No sign of holiday.
No sign? That definitely looks like her arm over there, buddy boy.
What manner of unspeakable horror could have so destroyed this entire community?
We'll never know, because the game fades to black, and then there is no sequel. You do see some of these characters again in Blair Witch Volume 1, but that game takes place a year before Nocturne's epilogue, so that was Nocturne. Overall, I would say I didn't hate it. It did have werewolves on a train, so that probably makes it the best game of all time. I'm gonna have to think about this one.
Spook us.